Welcome to Fresh Music Freaks, your online source for upfront music and industry news, music festival, and in-depth interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Freak Show. I'm a freak. Are you?
We are recording the call. This is Jen for Fresh Music Freaks. I have the infinite pleasure today of sitting down with Cressa Peterson, the inventor of Shower Toga. How are you today?
I'm great, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm a big Fresh Music Freaks fan, so it's an honor to be here.
Well, we're really big fans of the Shower Toga, and I'll never forget the first time I saw the Shower Toga. It was my very first Imagine Music Festival, and I was walking around the campgrounds to get a look at the merchandise, and you guys were doing a live demonstration, and I thought, what is that? That thing is so cool. You can shower without taking your without showing everybody everything, which is something girls don't want to do. So tell us a little bit about the Shower Toga today and where the idea came to you.
Yeah, and it was okay. So for me, and yes, that was a super fun festival for us. That was before, that was when we had just started out. We were a small little startup company, and we had such a great weekend that weekend at Imagine. But the way Shower Toga was invented was I shouldn't say my husband, myself, and my son do Spartan races, which are obstacle course races. Some people know them as mud runs. And I was so sick and tired of leaving those races covered in mud and sweat and grime and who the heck knows what else, right? Because you're going through like horse pastures and cow. So I was looking for a way to clean up when we were done. And there was no way. Like, they give you a water hose, but you're wearing compression gear, you're, in workout clothes, you're dirty. So I actually made my very first Shower Toga, not intending on it being a product, out of diaper cover material from a local store. I took a sewing class in downtown Woodstock, Georgia, because I could not sew a line together. Like, I couldn't do anything. And I sewed my own little version of a waterproof changing garment. And I started taking it to my Spartan races, and everybody thought I was completely whacked. They thought I was nuts. But after a few races, everybody was seeing how clean I was and how dirty they were. And I had a lot of people that started asking me, can I borrow that thing? And I'm like, yeah. And that thing ended up being like traveling around the race, people changing and showering, getting cleaned up, redressed, handing it to somebody else. And it was just a light bulb went off in my head. And I thought, I'm going to do a Kickstarter after I do a patent search to make sure I wasn't infringing on somebody else's property. I wasn't, so we went ahead and went through the patent process. I did a Kickstarter, and it funded before I ever, had to manufacture my very first Shower Toga. I did have all the plans in place and knew what I was going to do. And then I thought, hey, I'm going to throw it out there to the universe. And if there's a need for this, then it'll get funded. If there's not, it won't. And it got funded. And then we started going to setting up tents like when we did in Imagine.
That is so neat, because you literally just made it for yourself and then decided to mass produce. And you were on Shark Tank.
Yes, that took a long time. Everybody thinks that I don't know what everybody thinks, so I shouldn't say that, but a lot of people have the impression that maybe you fill out a form and then, you get picked to go on Shark Tank and you go on the show. It's nothing like that. It took us 16 months to get on the show. We got told no a lot of times, and I kept fighting and fighting in a good way, pushing and hustling and telling them, look, they were like, you're too new, you're not ready. I'm like, no, I'm ready. I'm ready. And I kept, really explaining to them how passionate I was about Shower Toga. By then I had seen the application possibilities potentially for disaster relief. And I knew that if I could get on a platform like that, it would help me get into disaster relief and military fields and kind of a little bit more of the, do good section of being an entrepreneur. So I really wanted to get on the show. So, they called me. And then after that, you go through months of interviews, massive amounts of paperwork. They had in our season 40,000 people apply. 250 of that 40,000 went to LA, and only like 150 aired. So
Wow.
it's like, you know, getting struck by lightning twice. Now, I will say, though, it's worth it. Everybody that has a good idea, who's an entrepreneur, you know, that has their kind of ducks in a row, should try out for the show. And be persistent and be passionate and believe in your product. Like, they see that. But the show is just amazing. Everybody on the staff is amazing. And obviously my business partner is the best.
Who is your business partner?
Mark Cuban. He owns the Dallas Mavericks. Mark
Okay.
Cuban is my business partner, and he's amazing. I can email Mark, and within 5 or 10 minutes, he emails me back every single time. I mean, I correspond with Mark a couple times a week. He's very hands-on with all of his entrepreneurs. He's a wonderful, wonderful business partner to have. He's tough, you know, and he, you know, I mean, he's a smart guy, and he's very, 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 I don't mean tough like mean. I mean, like, you know, tough, like, you know, tough love. Like, this is what you need to do. And if you're not doing this, why not? And, you know, he really wants us all to succeed. So it's been freaking awesome journey, but not an easy journey. It's a lot of work.
Like it sounds like it's an awful lot of work. And, you know, at Fresh Music Freaks, we're all about female empowerment and especially like entrepreneurship. So who are the women in your life that really inspire you to excel in your personal business, since you are a female entrepreneur?
Sarah Blakely.
Okay.
With Spanx. I am so in love with Sarah Blakely. She invented Spanx. I just adore her. I've never met her, but I remember her from years and years ago. She was on this reality TV show with Richard Branson, where he picked somebody to mentor. And at the end, it was Sarah Blakely and the guy that invented the love sack. And the guy that invented the love sack ended up getting the mentorship. But I fell in love with Sarah Blakely back then because she was strong and didn't take no for an answer, but she's silly. Like, she's so goofy. And I'm really weirdly goofy in my personal life. And I guess probably in my business life too. So I looked at her and I thought, if she can be that funny and goofy and organic and be such a strong woman, and, you know, I can do it. I don't know. She's just, I just adore her. I think she's amazing. She's definitely like my top female entrepreneur. And then there's tons, obviously, as well, but she would definitely be my top.
Have you sent her a shower toga?
I haven't. No, like you know, and it's so funny because she's a guest shark on Shark Tank. But, you know, it's not like I can just, you know, reach out to her, or, you know, a lot of times people may think that we have, you know, all these avenues to connect with, you know, a bunch of different people, and we don't. You know, I can connect with Mark. I was on The View, the TV show The View, and on that show I was able to connect with Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, who we argued my entire Shark Tank episode, but turns out I actually really, really like the guy. He's tons of fun. And, you know, he plays like the villain on TV, but he's a smart dude, and he's a lot of fun. And then I met Damon and Lori and Barbara. But again, it was just kind of like really quick. We were doing the TV show, and then it, you know, everybody parted ways. You don't have those connections. But I haven't sent anything to Sarah. But, you know, now that you mention it, I'm gonna reach out and just find out who can get something to her for me. I should. Good idea, Jennifer.
That's a good idea.
Oh, you're right. It is. No, it's a great idea because she's super outdoorsy. She's very active, and her husband is also really, really active. They do a lot of running. and he does a lot of endurance, kind of like long distance running. So and she's a big bicyclist. So they could actually really use it. Very
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be all your idea.
Well, tell her I said hi. I'm not up to Spanx just yet. Maybe one day soon. Not yet.
Yeah, well, they also have just like really cute like undergarment, like things that aren't Spanx, but she's any other woman on here right now that is kind of just looking for maybe somebody to follow, somebody to kind of listen to, guide. I have no dog in this fight, but I would definitely say follow Sarah, because you'll get a lot of little tidbits of wisdom and a lot of fun watching her.
Well, you seem to have a big personality yourself, and you went to Imagine and you tried. That was your first festival actually vending the shower toga. Is that correct?
It was. Actually, that's the first place that we set up a vendor booth. And it was so funny because I didn't have the funds to like buy like mannequins and to have anything like, professional. I just didn't have the money to do it. And so some people that did go to that might remember that we had to use like those cheapy blow up dolls that kind of look like dolls. But they were like $8 a piece. I was like, so that was my booth. And it was so fun.
How many festivals have you vended now?
We haven't been to a huge amount of festivals. We've been to probably 6 different kind of, I'd say Imagine is the biggest festival we went to. We've been to some other, music events, but not like big festivals. We did a lot of Spartan races, did a lot of vendor stuff with Spartan, but now we're partnered with Spartan. We have a co-branding Spartan shower toga, so they actually sell them in merch, and I'll go to do like appearances. But I don't do many vendor tent setups now, although to be honest with you, I loved them. I love doing them.
Yeah.
I thought that was so much fun. And it's kind of like, in some ways, it's like, be careful what you wish for, because, it's just harder for me to go and do those things now, and I miss it. So I will probably do some coming up again, once the, things get my schedule gets a little bit lighter. Right now, I have a pretty insane schedule, so it's just hard for me to take a whole weekend and do something fun like that.
Yeah, I can imagine, everybody's hunkered down in their homes, staying home, not able to leave the house because of the COVID-19 situation in the world. And it's affected everybody from just, any state of life that you're in, it's affected you, and especially small business owners like yourself. So I want to talk a little bit. You've been donating your shower togas to the Frontline Workers during this crisis. So tell me a little bit about that and what you did to kind of help our nurses and our doctors and people that are out there in the trenches during this.
Yeah. Okay. So that happened really, it was just interesting how it happened, because I would love to tell you that that was just like my great idea. It wasn't initially. What happened was we started getting tagged on social media from people who already owned a shower toga, who happened to be on the front line. And then we would get tagged every now and then, somebody who was a nurse saying, oh, look what I'm using my shower toga for now. And then we got tagged by another gentleman who was an EMT driver who, he's like the head EMT guy over a unit. And he said, because we had donated shower togas to them for a race where there was a lot of hypothermia. So we gave them like 50 shower togas so they could get people out of wet clothes. So he contacted me and he's like, is there any way that we can, buy some more at a discount? And I said, no, I'll donate them to you. So it just started that way. So then I started telling some of my friends on Facebook, I'm like, hey, if any of you are on the front line, like on the front line, like seriously, like like let me know, and I'm gonna get you a shower toga. Well, that started rolling. And then my team at Mark Cuban's came in and they said, okay, this is cool. We love what you're doing, but we need a system in place because you just can't keep giving away all of your inventory. Like, I know.
Wait, you can't do that.
Right. I was like, probably like 5,000 deep of them being gone of inventory. And I was figuring out, I'll just figure it out later. Cause like, I just had to get them out. And so we did, we kind of, Mark helped us some. And then I've taken on some private donations, which has helped us. And it's just, all the money just goes to getting shower togas out into the hands of people that are on the front line. We've kind of gone through all the donations money right now. So now what we're doing is anybody that's on the front lines for the COVID-19 epidemic can use code COVID. It's just COVID in our checkout at showertoga.com. We ask everybody, please be honest. Don't use the code if you're not a first responder. That code will give them 50% off everything in our store, and we cover the shipping. If somebody can't afford, because shower toga is normally 40, so it gets it to them for 20, and then we cover the like $4 or $5 shipping. So it just covers our raw costs. But if somebody can't afford that, we will donate one to them. So to get the donated one, if you cannot afford the discount, you just email my team at showertoga@gmail.com. And we do a verification process to make sure they're who they say they are, because we're getting inundated right now. And then they will get a free shower toga. But we ask if you can afford the $20, it just helps us do the donations for the people that, are like hospital housekeeping, where maybe they don't make the same, salary that a physician or a nurse does. So yeah, we are shipping out hundreds a day, and the response has been overwhelming. This is the kind of time where I wish I was really huge. I wish I was just gigantic and I could just ship out 100,000 shower togas to different hospitals, but we are doing a lot, and it's been incredibly rewarding. And I actually think, not to sound dramatic, but I actually think it could really, it could help keep a lot of people from getting sick. And I love that.
I think that's just so admirable to have a product, have a useful use for it that the world can really get behind and see. And so we have to thank you for that.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for sitting down.
Thank the first responders. I'll tell you, they are such heroes. Yes. I get so many emails and stories of stuff they're going through. I mean, I'm so much better now. Like the first 3 or 4 days I was doing this, I would just start crying like 3 or 4 times a day. As just reading through these things, like you absorb those, some of them were just gutting. And so if people, don't want a shower toga, don't need a shower toga, that's fine, but do something for first responders. Order them lunches, I don't know, just do something so that they know that they're appreciated. Please, everyone.
I think it's wonderful what you've done with your platform to be able to distribute your shower togas, but to also talk about it and talk about the first responders and things that you would like to see. So my last question to you, Cressa, would be, what would you like to see change in the world today during this situation? What would you like to see us heal from and grow from?
For me, well, that's such a good question. Well, one thing I'd say, my biggest thing is for people to realize that, okay, this is just my opinion, but I think people should realize that borders really don't exist. Okay, we are all human beings on this planet. And I want to see everybody respect everybody, appreciate everybody for their differences. You know, don't get locked into, I'm this type of person, you're that type of person. Like, this is the time for us to all realize that, you know, the COVID-19 epidemic doesn't have an ethnicity that it targets. It doesn't have a type of person it targets. It targets all of us. So we've all gone through this together as you know, a human race. And so I just think it's really important that we remove any mental barriers we have about each other and just make it about being thankful for, you know, being alive and vertical on the earth, and just love each other. Like, quit arguing. Like, the little shit doesn't matter. You know, just have more love and respect for each other, no matter who you are or what you look like.
That's powerful. Well, Cressa, thank you so much for sitting down with us today at Fresh Music Freaks. This is Jen signing off.